Welcome back, my ethics students, summer 26. How are you? I hope everything's going well. I apologize. Last week there was a little bit of confusion in the beginning of the week. I had sent out an email saying there will not be a discussion. Then I retracted that Tuesday. I apologize for that. That was my mistake. Ethics is such a small book in regards to covering of chapters that, as you notice, there's some weeks where you only cover one chapter. So we do include in that a discussion during the final or the midterm, excuse me, during the midterm. So I wanted to just kind of apologize for the confusion in regards to that. But good news is we're back on track and we're heading in the right direction. And we are in week number 5, which means that we got 2 weeks before the end of the semester. Next week, we'll be going through what would essentially be technology and ethics in a globalized environment, which I think will be exciting for you guys, especially when we talk about the artificial intelligence concept of this and how fast it's growing. For those of you who are my financial people, accounting and finance, you got to be excited about this because, of course, SpaceX just announced its IPO and went public last week, which is a great, huge Theo made and created our first trillionaire in the world. And that's a whole, different topic well, how do I word this? Is having trillionaires in a world in today's society, good or bad? And there's probably a little both and both opinions on that. So be interesting to see what that discussion looks like. And then week number 7 is when our final is due. Now, this week, I'm looking at it right now. We're going to work on chapter and week 7, which is our final week. Our final exam will be there, and we'll be only working on one chapter, chapter 10. I will not put a discussion for that week. So once again, I apologize for the midterm, but the final does not have a discussion. So that stated, I will be reviewing everything, making sure that you know where you stand. I hope everyone's doing well in this class. I hope it's easy for you to understand what's happening and going on from where we're at. We're almost done. I'm excited to see what happens with you guys. A lot of you are almost done with your entire process here in business management. I was just speaking to someone in regards to what they can do with their degree, and we're just kind of I don't know what term you want to use, but essentially providing a guideline to what that person can do in her job, pursuing her job. And I want you to know that there is a lot out there for a business management graduate, but as anything else, there's a lot of competition out there. So start looking, go back into your sort of mindset of your SWOT analysis, do your own SWOT analysis. What is it that is, what is it that you bring to a company? What is your strength and your weakness? What opportunities exist with that, with threats? And one of the threats you're faced with is that people are graduating with degrees higher than an associate degree in business. So keep that in mind when you go out to the workforce. What makes you different than everyone else? That stated, let's talk about this week in regards to our ethical discussion. This week we talk about accounting people and this Sarbanes-Oxley Act that was passed after Enron. Enron was a very interesting moment in business because it brought back sort of responsibility to the financial people to make sure that what they're signing and what they're saying is real. And in this video, we look at this concept of, and I want you to put yourself in the position of this accountant. How much pushback would you be able to handle if a CEO tells you to do something and it doesn't add up for you? How much pushback do you have? And in the video, I recall there's a moment where the CEO of WorldCom pushes against, the accountant and says, hey, just do this. And he makes a point to say, it wasn't illegal to do that. It was just bad accounting practices. So accounting has a body that sort of reviews everything and sets a standard of accounting. They have certain standards that they have to live by. It's called GAAP, GAAP. And essentially, what happened in this particular situation is the accountant, instead of going with what they knew and pushing against the CEO and saying, I don't feel comfortable doing this because he felt he was going to lose his job, he ends up getting arrested. Where in the another story with Swisher, the accountant pushes back and he ends up becoming a hero. He ends up becoming like a whistleblower, and and we applaud people that do that. But at the moment that that happens, it's tough for you as a professional to say to your boss, no, this is not right. Something's wrong with this. So keep that in mind as you're doing this. Once again, the purpose of this discussion isn't for you to just simply answer some questions. The purpose of this discussion is for you to tell me your perspective of it and how much you feel you can push back, or how much you feel you have a voice in regards to doing this stuff. And it goes across the board, not just at work, but in our everyday life, in what we see on TV, and what our political parties decide to do. How much are you willing to say, well, that doesn't feel right to me? So I encourage you to reflect upon this video once you watch it. And if the video seems long to you, I encourage you to increase the speed of the video so you can go faster and then get through it a little quicker, which I probably imagine you're doing to my videos. But either way, that's what it is. It is what it is. So FYI, for those of you interested in the stock market, today, which is Tuesday, 10:30 a.m., SpaceX opened on last week at $135 a share. It is currently at $211 a share. An overall total gain of those who got in early of 56%. So that's amazing for a IPO to be moving that fast, to create a trillionaire. So very, very, very interesting development in regards to that. I think that's about it, guys. Stay hydrated. I wish you the very best. Today is going to be rainy. Is what I hear. Some severe thunderstorms supposed to come through this area. So if you are out there, please be safe and take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you next week.